What's up, y'all? We're back, and I'm excited because we get to close out our Psalm 23 little kind of mini-series we've been doing. Again, if you haven't been here for the other ones, Psalm 23 is very near and dear to both of our hearts. I think it's been a big key piece for both of us through a lot of difficult times. I know it's my go-to verse when, things get hard. Go-to chapter, I guess. It feels like it's just one verse sometimes, but it's my go-to chapter when things get rough. So we are going to be reading verses 5 and 6, and so Lenane is going to kick that off for us, and then we're going to talk about it.
Okay. 5 and 6. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I really don't need to actually read it. I have it memorized. It's just...
Yeah, it's weird having my NASB because I was like, that's not the right wording.
Yeah, so am I going first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So to prepare for this, I listened to the Do Not Let Your Enemy Have a Seat at Your Table sermon by Louie Giglio, where he talks about this. And so I wanted to talk about a few points that I took away from the sermon just because I hadn't listened to it in a long time.
Right.
And it was just a good reminder. And so the first thing was, I feel like this passage is the most popular that everybody knows.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not. You say, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, somebody can finish that sentence.
Right.
Or like your rod and your staff, they come, like somebody, almost everybody I feel like knows this in some way or shape or form. And so I feel like sometimes it can feel like, like back when we first started talking about like the Lord is my shepherd, it can feel like it's so detached from reality because we all know it so well, and it's not really sunk in as truth. And so, that's kind of what Louie Giglio, he was talking about in the very beginning, was like he grew up knowing this. And he didn't really understand that this is talking about a powerful God, a present God, and not one that he just sees on like a picture in his grandma's house, and so I just like that reminder too, is that sometimes I feel like we lose this because it's just pretty wording and it's not actually truth. And so that was the first thing I really loved, and just a good reminder. And then second, specifically to our two verses, when it says you prepare a table in the presence of my enemies, I think sometimes we're like, well, why does it have to be in the presence of our enemies?
Right.
Like, why can't it be in your presence? Why can't it be by myself? Why can't it be, in a beautiful place or whatever? But it's a very real, like, who do you know that its life is good their whole life? Like, you always have something going on. You always have a heartache. You always have, we go through seasons of good times, but, like, you always have something in your life. And so, one, I think he sets it there because he doesn't always take us out of the hard times. Two, I think it becomes a witness to those who are onlooking at our life. It's set in the presence of our enemies, so our enemies can see how big our God is.
Right.
So other people looking in our lives can be like, well, I want that. Like, why is she doing so well? Or why is he handling this so well? Or whatever. It can be a testimony thing. And then I just, like, in the sermon, he has this whole table set up with all this kind of delicious looking food and fruit and all that kind of stuff. And one of his things that he says that is just very true to us is we are invited to sit at this table that he's prepared for us. King of the universe has invited us. You, me, has invited individually has invited you. And we don't have time to sit down. We'd rather worry about this or be lazy or, whatever that is for you. Or life's too busy. We don't have time to sit down.
Right.
We don't have time to be in the presence of God. We don't have time to spend time with Him. And so I think that's when, in the sermon he was talking about, that's when the enemy takes a seat at your table too. He pulls up a seat. He pulls up a seat to steal, kill, and destroy, like in John 10:10.
Right.
And so I think it's a good reminder. And then I think verse 6, surely your goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I could be wrong, so correct me. But I think that's just a good way to end, that's just a statement of truth. A good way to end all of this, in spite of the hard times, in spite of the valley, in spite of, all these things, surely your goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's David in this psalm just declaring the God that he serves and the God that he believes in, and knowing and having confidence in who he is talking about in this psalm. And so, yeah, I don't know if I have anything super profound, but those are just the things that stuck out to me, the things that I
thought that was great. Yeah,
enjoy.
Absolutely. Well, and I think you hit 5 really hard. I think it was really good. And I like just how you said, verse 6 it's an ending statement to such a beautiful chapter. It's just surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And I think for me, one of the big takeaways I've always had from verse 6 is coming off the coattails of verse 5, where you're talking about being in, the presence of your enemies at this table that he's prepared for you. You're like, why are my enemies even close to me? Mm-hmm. You get the reassurance that you're going to dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Yeah. And I see it kind of in 2 ways. One way being, obviously, God's going to take care of us in the moment, and we're going to be able to dwell with him in eternity, but also kind of in a way of, God's always with us. Goodness and mercy, who is goodness and mercy other than God? When goodness and mercy is following you all the days of your life, that means God's going to be right there with you, all the days of your life. And I just think it's a wonderful truth. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's just that beauty of having the God of the universe set up a table for you. And I think that's one of the biggest encouragements I find in it. And then the other thing I wanted to do was just touch on the anointing and the cup overflowing. It's I just imagine, because in that time, a lot of times if you'd come to a dinner, you're going to sit there and they're going to give you some anointing oil for your head. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like God was welcoming you to that house. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It's God's welcoming you to your house. And even though this table is being prepared in the presence of your enemies, I imagine when Jesus went to the Pharisee's house and the Pharisee didn't take care of him, and he's in the presence of his enemies. That's the type of person Jesus was and wants us to be. It's but yet we know that God is the one who's going to be anointing our head. We don't need people to take care of us. It's God's the one saying, hey, I'm anointing your head. Hey, I'm going to make your cup overflow. And it might not be with earthly possessions. It might not be with goodness. Heck, we've walked through that. Some days you're okay, is the big point here, God, for us to make money, or is the big point not for us to make money? It's you walk through these seasons, and more and more I do is what if God didn't ever want me to live lavish? What if that's really God's plan for me? Am I okay with that? And I think that's hard, especially the younger you are, when you're working and trying to start a family, to tell yourself, I don't need all that lavish. Maybe I'm not working towards that lavish. And so I think that's just another big thing. It's just that promise of, or the truth behind, God is the one anointing my head with oil. God's the one making my cup overflow. And I just think that's a big truth that can be really missed when you're in the presence of your enemies. And so, but I think you did a great job. I love that.
So what does it look like for you to sit at the table God's prepared for you?
Oh, that's a great question. Absolutely great question.
Because I feel you can say that, but then people are like, okay, well, what does that actually mean? Like,
right,
why is that
right.
Applicable? Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. I think for me, what I've found is if I'm going to be truly sitting at this table God's prepared for me, for one, I'm going to eat what's put on my plate.
Okay.
I think that's a big thing that we miss, because I think sometimes we're picky eaters like me, and we're saying, hey, God, that's nice. Like, that's nice of you and all, but I didn't order this. This is what I ordered, God. Please bring that. Oh, yeah. Like, my cup was supposed to be overflowing with this, not that. And I think that's hard for us sometimes. I think that's a big struggle we have. And so I think that's a big thing to look at. I think that's the first piece is accepting what's put on my plate. I think it's dwelling there peacefully. I think some of us sit at our table and we, I just think about a lot of my friends who have like that restless foot syndrome where you're bouncing up and down all the time.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I imagine. Like, I imagine how many of us are waiting, looking at the clock. Like, we're waiting for the clock to strike so we can get on and get going. So I think it's the waiting, it's the peaceful
stillness.
Yeah, the stillness of being just present in the moment at his table. I'd say that, and then just, I don't know, just enjoying his presence too. So not just being present, but also enjoying it. Like, because you could be as present as you'd like, but if you're not enjoying your God, I think of like the Christian hedonism, like John Piper's, like God is most glorified in us when we are most satisfied in him. I think that just rings truer and truer as you get deeper and deeper with your faith. It's like either you just realize that God does want you to be satisfied in him. Like, God's not looking for you to begrudgingly follow him. Like, God does want you to be there and be present, but he also wants you to love that time with him. And so I think those are my things. What about you?
Well, that was really good. I wasn't expecting to say that.
What were you expecting?
I don't know. I really had no expectations, but that was really good.
It's a great question, though.
I think for me to sit at the table, kind of like we said, just to be still. Like, he leads me beside still waters, letting him do that. Because I feel like still waters can be a rushing river sometimes.
Right.
Just in the busyness of life or the hurt of a hard time or whatever it is. And so letting him lead me beside still waters and sitting at the table he's prepared for me, just like literally just being still.
Right.
For me, that's something that I actually do quite often. Is I literally just sit there with my eyes closed and I don't do anything.
Right.
I clear my mind of all the distractions or worry or whatever, and I just sit there. And so for me, it's allowing God to be my peace instead of trying to make my own peace.
Right.
Trying to figure it out myself.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge thing, is sitting at his table and just having peace. Yeah, I don't think I have a point by point like you just did.
No, you're
but
fine.
I think for me, that's what it looks like to sit at his table.
Yeah.
Is to let him be my peace.
Right.
And not trying to figure it all out myself.
No,
So, yeah.
That's great.
Like for me.
I love that. You got anything else you want to share? Awesome. Well, I hope this was encouraging for you guys. Sorry, I'm super sniffly again today. I swear I wasn't this bad until like the minute we started videoing, and I was like, come on. I'm just trying not to sneeze. But I want to close out. So my Bible has, like, it's a study Bible, and there's this little section that just says hope words. So like words of hope. And this is what it says for chapter 23. Keep your eye on the shepherd and you will make it through the valley. I just like that. I thought that was really neat. I just wanted to share that with you guys. So as we wrap up this Psalm 23, I hope it encourages you. I hope it just helped you see God in your life. Like, I hope these are giving you an opportunity to kind of have that stillness like Lenan talked about, and just, have some time to see God moving in your life. So we appreciate you guys. And if you have any prayer requests, please let us know. And we want to be able to pray for you. And our song of the week is going to actually be a sermon of the week. So our is going to be a sermon of the week. We're going to do, obviously, Don't Let the Enemy Have a Seat at Your Table, which is just one of the best sermons I've ever heard. So
where
we're
my
gonna
tattoo came from.
yeah. So we are going to be posting that down in the description, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Deuces.